Hey, Revolution, everybody. This is Brother Leonard, the Truth Seeker, coming to you with a few minutes of truth. And typically around this time on a Wednesday, I would go live from the basement with a live stream. However, tonight, I'm not going to be able to do that because the stories that I have, I still have to prepare them, and I had a long day today. So you can look forward to that coming up in the coming days. All right. First of all, I want to thank you for clicking on the video. You can hit the subscribe button to follow everything that's going on here in the Revolution with me, Brother Leonard, the Truth Seeker. And this week you can look for a couple more stories. I'm going to be doing a story on I believe the church is New Hope Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Pastor Michael Jordan. Interesting name for a pastor. But I want to talk about him and his church signs. And I had to prepare a lot of that information for you. And getting home after 9 p.m. Eastern doesn't work so well for that. Along with video that was starting to go viral in our circles, I'm going to talk about Pastor John Hagee. Many of you are familiar, the Cornerstone Church out of San Antonio. Well, he has some interesting comments and some interesting observations about Israel that we're going to talk about, and I really want to dig into that, and I really want to get some background information for you to present for you on those situations. However, tonight on this video, which is not a live stream, but I'm just going to upload it as soon as I am done speaking with you. I'm going to do two stories real quick. The first story is a quick story. It's basically an addendum to last week's story. And then I want to talk to you about an update that we have of a story that we've been covering out of Toledo, Ohio. So first, let me get started on the first story. Okay. Last week on the pop-up video that I did about Juanita Bynum reuniting with Bishop Jakes and how they are going to be working together again after 20 years or so of, not doing much of anything like that. I failed to, further thinking about it, I failed to mention, which I think is the real story, come to think of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the real story just for a couple minutes. It's not going to be long. But remember at the end of my video, I played for you the announcement or the promo video that was posted to Juanita Bynum's Facebook page. Now, I'm just going to say something about it, but it seems kind of interesting after we watch it. But I want you to watch it again, and I want you to notice who isn't in the video. All right, let's watch it again, and then we'll come back and see who isn't in the video.
God always picks up at the spot you drop off.
And if you always look at where you are, you will always be where you are. You gotta look up, because what God wants to do in you is bigger than what you can hold in your hand.
I hear God saying it's time to go, baby, that I've been pulling you back so I can shoot you forward, and the time is now for you to set your city on fire.
God can let you be in one building at one time, have one encounter that will change everything you've been praying about.
The time is now to change the course of your personal, professional, and spiritual life. If you register today for the Woman Thou Art Loosed Masterclass, not only will you receive a special rate for individuals and groups, you will also get the opportunity to win a WTAL Masterclass Executive VIP.
All right, that's enough of that. We don't have to go through the rest of that. But If you notice in the promo video, who isn't in that promo video? I find that to be very interesting. And, you know, it tells us something, that the replacement for the replacement, find it very interesting. Hold on, I'm looking for something. There we go. Yeah, this person right here. Yep, there she is. Play tell, why isn't Paula White in that video? Now, I'm just going to say this, from what I understand, not everything for the Woman Thou Art Loose conference that's taking place later on this summer, not everything has been announced, but I'm just going to speculate, because that's what I do. I know a lot of people think that I'm gossiping and rumor and things like that, but speculation is what it is, speculation. And sometimes some speculations may be right, some may be wrong, but in this case, I kind of have a feeling that Paula White may not be attending or may not be participating in this Woman Thou Art Loose conference. Now, I may be wrong, but from what I understand, she may not be participating. Why, pray tell, would Paula White not participate in Woman Thou Art Loose? Because, first of all, we have to understand that Paula White actually was Juanita Bynum's replacement in the Woman Thou Art Loose conferences. And Paula White was a mainstay throughout most of those Woman Thou Art Looses and Megafests, other things. But for some reason, Paula is not being billed, or at least in that ad, being billed in Woman Thou Art Loose. Could it be? Could it be the fact that probably about 90% of the participants at Woman Thou Art Loose are black women? And, for the most part, 90% of black women vote Democratic across the board, regardless of religion, regardless of what their husbands may vote. But across the board, a vast majority of black women vote Democratic. And could it be that since the president who has been elected had this woman, Paula White, as his some would say his chief spiritual advisor? Interesting. From what we understand and from what is going on, the relationship between her and the church, her New Destiny Christian Center, is getting a little strained. People are asking questions, and many have left. But it plays into the fact that, to me, Paula got exactly what she wanted. After many years of ministry, she finally got to the place where she has been accepted by her peers. Maybe she doesn't see the people that she's been pastoring for these many years as her peers. Being on the Trump train has actually created a situation where she has been accepted by her peers. And maybe, not to say that they asked, or maybe she just didn't want to do it anymore because she doesn't need folk. Doesn't really need us anymore. But that typically happens when some folk get real big. You know, I'll talk a little bit about that on that situation. I'll talk about that in another video as it relates to Pastor Jordan. I'll talk about that in that video when we start dealing with race and church as it relates to the stuff in that video. So look for that in the coming days. All right. Let's go ahead on from her, and let's go to this dude. Okay, we've been following the Toledo sex trafficking case, where it has three individuals, where you had three individuals of, I believe his name Anthony Jenkins. Let me just find their names real quick because I'm just want to make sure I get it right. Anthony Haynes. I'm sorry, I mixed up the last names. Anthony Haynes and Cordell Jenkins, and along with his wife, Laura Jenkins, Cordell Jenkins' wife. The three men. Let me just bring them out real quick so that you can see who they are. These three guys were being charged for sex trafficking minors in Toledo and Detroit, and we're going to get caught up on this situation. I'm going to read to you the plea deal and what was going on in this, and I'm going to read this straight from the FBI website. So, you know, it's a news press release from what they had. And this is crazy. All right. This is real crazy. So these are the three men, but I want to talk to you about this man right here. Let me pull him out so that we can focus in on him. Whoa, let's focus. There we go. We're going to talk about Kenneth Butler. Now, Kenneth Butler, 38. Kenneth Butler, 38, on this past Monday pleaded guilty. Now, he's going to take a plea deal, and guess what? Which is cool, but he's going to take a plea deal, and he's going to spend 17 and a half years in prison. Okay? They agreed on 210 months in prison. 17 and a half years in prison. He pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to sex traffic children, two counts of sex trafficking of children, and one count of obstruction of sex trafficking investigation. Basically, that count is he deleted the text and told his victims not to cooperate with the FBI. Okay, but we'll get into that in a second. Like I said before, Anthony Haynes, Cordell Jenkins, they're awaiting trial. They're taking the trial. So it looks like they are trying to think that they might be able to beat the case. When the one flips, the rest of y'all need to flip. Y'all just need to plead guilty. But here's the thing. And this came straight from the plea agreement, and I'm going to read this to you as much of this as I can stomach, because it gets sick towards the end. In the middle, it gets sick, and we'll just go ahead and see how far I can go. Says Butler did knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, maintain, patronize, or solicit by any means juvenile 1 and 2. That's how they're going to be identified, as juvenile 1 and juvenile 2. Now, I may not say juvenile anymore. I may just say 1 and 2, okay? Knowing that such juveniles had not attained the age of 18 years and would be caused to engage in a commercial sex act, basically sex for money. This took place between 2015 and March of 2017. Butler was a pastor of a church in Detroit from 2007 to 2012. Shortly after his church closed in 2013, Butler started attending church at Greater Life Christian Center in Toledo. Anthony Haynes was the lead pastor of the church. Haynes and Butler quickly became friends and started spending time together at the church and elsewhere. In 2014, Haynes told Butler, number 1, moved into his home. Haynes informed Butler that number 1 was sexually abused when she was younger by her family members, and at least one of the family members was convicted of the crime for the conduct. In late 2015, Haynes picked up Butler with juvenile 1 already in the car. The three of them went to Greater Life Christian Center to Haynes's office. Juvenile number 1 began to undress, and Haynes looked at Butler and stated, "You owe me," and laughed. "You owe me? Wow. Dude, you paying for it 17 years. That's what you owe. That's what you get. You paying for it. That's right, 17 years. Goes on to say, they're talking about the this next paragraph. I'm not going to go into it because they're describing the sexual conduct that happened between juvenile number 1, Haynes, and Butler in this paragraph. And I'm just going to continue on from there. Don't need to get into that. In 2016, Haynes closed Greater Life Christian Center and opened a new church and named it University Bible Fellowship in Toledo. Shortly after this church opened, Haynes called Butler and told him to meet juvenile number 1 and him at University Bible Fellowship. When Butler arrived, it was apparent that they were going to have another threesome. However, Haynes instructed Butler to give juvenile 1 a ride to her job interview first. He drove juvenile 1 to the job interview. This is where trafficking comes in. Brought her back to the church. Once back at the church, juvenile 1 performed oral sex on Haynes and Butler, and they proceed to have unprotected vaginal intercourse with her. After this encounter, Haynes told Butler that Cordell Jenkins, this is where Cordell Jenkins comes in, was also having sex with juvenile 1. Butler knew Jenkins as another pastor in the Toledo area. Butler went to Jenkins' church on a few occasions when Haynes was a guest preacher. Likewise, Jenkins was a guest preacher at Haynes' church. Approximately 1 month later, Butler picked up juvenile 1 from school, drove her to a secluded area where Butler proceeded to have unprotected vaginal intercourse with her in the car. Then it goes on to say that they rented a motel room. Then at her residence, basically gave her $30 for her hair and basically said, "You better be nice and naked." So this is where the prostitution comes in. All right, in March of 2017, Haynes informed Butler that there was a federal investigation into their conduct. Here comes the obstruction. Butler deleted text messages on a cellular phone regarding conversations with Juvenile 1. Now Butler had sex with another minor, Juvenile 2, who attended the church at Greater Life Christian Center. The two met at the church in 2016. I guess since he knew that, hey, I can have this one at the church, that the rest of them are fair game too. And shortly after the meeting, Butler started his own church in the Detroit area. Butler routinely took number 2 with him to his church in Michigan. Yeah, this is trafficking here. Number 2 watched Butler's children during church service in 2017 while driving back from Detroit. Butler pulled off the road and had vaginal intercourse with number 2. And Butler knew number 2 had not attained the age of 18. Butler routinely provided number 2 rides to various places in Toledo, and at least on one occasion gave her $20. All right. Now on October 4th, 2017, Butler called number 2. No, number 2 called Butler. During the call, Butler told juvenile number 2 to lie to federal authorities. There we go. Obstruction of justice number 2. When they asked about the sex according to the court's documents. Now, this is what Kenneth Butler did. This is what he admitted to. And the other 2, plus the wife, want to go to trial. Really? They want to go to trial. Yeah, we're going to stay up on this case. And I wanted to get more into it, but because, we couldn't have it on the live stream, but we didn't. This is ridiculous. And let's keep those young ladies in our prayers. And hopefully that this guy will rot. And, justice will be served on his behalf, on their behalf, for them. All right. Once again, this is Brother Leonard, the Truth Seeker, as you can see down there on the micron. I want you to subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. You can see I'm going to try to put the little subscribe button down here somewhere. And follow along. Like I said, in the coming days, there's going to be videos about racism and the black and white church out of Alabama. And we're going to be dealing with John Hagee and Mr. Jeffries, Richard Jeffries, out of Dallas, Texas, John Hagee out of San Antonio. And they have made big news by trumpeting, or whatever, this Israel stuff. So yeah, we will follow up on that, and I have a lot of opinions about that, and we will follow up on that very shortly. So stay tuned to the station, follow this space, and once again, this is your boy Brother Leonard, the Truth Seeker, coming to you with a few minutes of truth. Revolution.